Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Art, Design, and Conversation, our series where we get to talk to creative professionals from different genres. Today, we're very privileged to have someone who has done some very exciting work in her field, and we've been trying to get her to have a chat with us, and she has had time today. So, before I go into the introductions and introduce our guest, let me walk you through a little bit about Beats and our mission and what we do. So, my name is Sandeep. I'm the managing director for Beats. We are a design studio called Bhubaneswar Experimental Art and Design Studio based out of Bhubaneswar that creates elegant, ethnically inspired, and environmentally friendly products. We start with a firm belief in the power of art and design to make people's lives better. Our products are handmade, contemporary, toxin-free, and with zero plastic packaging. Our vision is to inspire life with inspiring design from Odisha, and as a result of this vision, we get to interact with some amazing creative people across different genres. So, why art, design, and conversation? Why ADC? So this is a series we started a year ago, which lies at an exploration into the methodologies and motivations underlying indigenous craftsmanship. It encompasses an exploration of how craft items intersect with our daily existence and environment within the framework of contemporary design ideologies and the escalating emphasis on sustainability. As a result of this series, we have dialogues with accomplished professionals spanning diverse realms of art, design, and culture. We even had an architect last time. These dialogues seek to unravel the ecological and communal consequences associated with mass manufactured goods, underscore the importance and pertinence of native artisanal traditions, and also spotlight the transformative role of mediums such as textiles, ceramics, and other material-based techniques that reshape contemporary perceptions of craftsmanship. So, with that note, I'd like to know that this is an ADC where we're stepping into the first time in the realm of fashion design and textile design. It's not something we've covered before. So we have with us a very special guest, Pankaja Sethi. Pankaja, thanks so much for joining the program. Pankaja,
My pleasure.
thank you. Pankaja and I go back a while. We've worked on different projects in the past, including the Bhubaneswar Art Trail, where I had a chance to get to know her. Before we get to hear from Pankaja, let me read a little bit of her bio and where she comes from. So Pankaja is a textile designer, an artist, and researcher. She was honored with the Devi Award by the Indian Express in December 2023. She has worked in diverse textiles and has exhibited a textile work called The Flaming Womb at the Fabric of Being exhibition in the Nairobi Summit. A textile artwork titled The Reflection of Time and Nature on the Public Art Project Bhubaneswar Art Trail in 2018 was something that I got to see personally. It was made with local organic materials and reflected the way nature and culture coexist. She's been a speaker at the TED Talks in the KIT University, a recipient of the Karun Thakur Project Fund 22-23. She has worked with various textile traditions, tribal textile traditions, including the Kodoba Keronga bark cloth, the Kapardonga shawls from Niyamgiri. We'll get to hear a lot about this in the coming interview. She's also the recipient of the National Folklore Support Center, supported by the Tata Fellowship on the Dongya on the textiles. Besides, stunning career where she has explored all of these different textile traditions, she was also someone who was selected as for the first Asian Feminism and Transnational Activism program in Seoul. She studied her master's in textile design and development from the National Institute of Fashion Technology in New Delhi, and intriguingly and very importantly, an MA in social anthropology from the School of Oriental and African Studies in the University of London. Welcome, Pankaja, and what a fascinating bits of experiences from all sides and all different How did this journey start? Can I just start off by this? Like, there must be a Pankaja back in the day who wanted to figure out what she wanted to do, where she wanted to go, and decided she wanted to be a textile designer and researcher. How did that all start? You're on mute, Pankaja. Yeah, there you
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Sandeep. So I'll just try to compile. So school days, I was always interested in drawing, and I always wanted to pursue drawing. And I think when I was 14 or 15, when I heard of NIFT, I said, yes, I want to go here. This is the only way I can use my creativity. And when I was finishing my 12th, I was not sure whether to 12th and graduation. In botany, I wanted to know whether textiles or fashion. Then I thought, let me learn the base of textile. If I learn the base of textile, I think that's more important. So that's how I started my thing for NIFT, preparing for entrance and all. And another thing also, because we used to visit, because my father was in paramilitary force, CRPF, and we traveled different parts of India. Right. And whenever my father was on tour, he used to bring some textiles from every state, Arunachal or Manipur or from Assam. So we had a collection. So probably I learned importance of textile from my father. Right. This is second thing. And the third important thing is summer and winters, when we used to go back to our village, summer holidays, I saw my grandfather doing things, farming, making ropes. So I saw materials very, very closely, the potters. And so probably these are the things which made me, and it made me stronger, and I got interested in textiles.
And your father used to bring them back as kind of a memento from wherever he was traveling, and he just liked textiles. This was something that he also loved.
Yes, he used to bring saris for my mother, and he used to bring sometimes jackets or something, but it was all handloom. From every state, whether Kanchipuram, like we were in Tamil Nadu, we were in Arunachal, and he also traveled for short tours and long tours. But from every state, we had one example. So I think from school days, we had seen, okay, something is coming and that is important. He doesn't bring anything, like he never stops, stops him getting textiles. He will always bring textile.
Interesting. And so when you said you also saw your grandfather working with ropes, working with things. So tell us a little bit more about that. In your childhood, you go to your village and get to see that?
Yes. So our village in Jagatsinghpur, Odisha is a potter's village. So I saw potters making pots and all. And I used to bring clays and make small idols. And my grandfather, who basically I saw him using grass, cords and all, making ropes. And also there's a technique called throw shuttle technique, which we call in Odia Masina or Heso, which is used as a floor covering. I saw him and my father's young uncle making the Masina and Henso and many other craft things by hand.
Wow.
Like we had a pounding machine at home where we used to pound the rice, which is called dhinki in Odia. So many other things I saw. In fact, to store also the paddy, they used to use the hay, twist it and make it and use the storage. So these are the things I saw very closely from school days.
Yeah. And it left a very strong impression, and it has influenced your work and the subjects you've picked, I think, quite strongly. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, but it seemed that was a very strong influence on you, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Like the throw shuttle technique, I said, I saw them making masina and henso. I also saw that the same technique they had made a fish trap, and they used to catch the fish, and that's a craft. Now I call it a craft, but that was for me that time, something they are creating for utility purpose.
Yes. But it was a blend of both, wasn't it? Back in the day, this is how they used to do it.
Absolutely. Yes. And so much hard work goes, material goes, yes.
I always say that, when I went to the craft museum, when they opened, one of my favorite rooms was the room right at the end of the craft museum, where they had all the crafts and the objects made from the crafts put together in one room to almost kind of show, this is how it used to be. Like, all the beautiful crafts, you think they always had some utility value. this is just how our culture was before it was kind of pushed aside and made like into a quaint thing, exotic, quaint craft object. But it's just beautiful to reconnect with the fact that it was all, part of our culture, and you got to see it
Yes,
so
yes,
visibly. Yeah.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yes. So
And
when
so,
I teach,
yeah, please
yes.
go ahead. Yeah. Tell
Yeah,
me.
when I teach also, when students come from rural backgrounds, I understand they have seen much, much more compared to the urban students. That's
Yeah.
always my take.
So, so true.
Yes.
And so when you went with this, so did you have any perception of what you were getting into when you joined NIFT? That did your decision making on what you were going to work on started right from the beginning, or somewhere later you started evolving as you studied NIFT? How was the NIFT experience for
And
you?
I think it was a good experience studying elements of design, studying color theory.
Yeah.
We were made to do weaving, and our teacher taught them how to do weaving. We had a small loom, and one exercise was to do a creative weaving. And what
Yeah.
is creative weaving? One story was white, and one story was black. So before we learned the main weaving, so you grab any waste or anything around you and you weave something. You
Right.
create, you look at textures things. So these are the things, they're the fundamentals of design. Whether it's textures, elements of design, and we used to, I think our department was the most hard working. We could see other department, they used to take holiday, but we would be working till 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the lab doing many things.
Yeah.
Like just from the application of color also, you do the flat brush and the round brush application, cut them in right angle. And if you don't cut them in right angle, your marks were deducted. Then you also make a special folder to present. And during NIFT, we had a subject called craft documentation.
Oh, okay.
That was, we went to Bastar, and this was exactly this. I went to NIFT because currently I'm in Delhi, so I saw it was exactly 24 years ago. We went to Bastar, we went by train, and the situation was very tense because the Naxal movement was going on. We stayed in a forest guest house, and that time we went to many villages to learn dhokra, terracotta, and textiles.
Okay.
And we stayed almost for 15-20 days in Bastar, documenting the rare textile, and now it has completely changed. That was another impact, which I think after 5 or 6 years I came back to when I came to craft sector.
Right.
So that also created a big impact because I still have the drawings of that time. I still have the documentation of time, and what I recorded, the different types of textiles. When I looked at it some days ago, it is like actually amazing the kind of work we did. Because
so when you say things have changed, is it because when you revisited the place again later on?
Yes. 2009 I visited. I'll get back to that because after completing an IFT, I worked in Export House in Delhi. It was designing lovely cushion covers, bed covers, and home linens for export to international market. But I felt I am like a machine, and I'm just producing design, and I thought I'm made for something better. That's what a calling came, and it just happened that I got a calling from my professor. Somebody needs you in Jharkhand. Will you go? I said, definitely go. So I went to Santhal village to work with Santhal women. And in every talk, I thanked them because they gave me a major breakthrough, whether it's TEDx or any talk. And I saw the women were single women who were living in campus, and they were sharing stories.
Okay.
And that time I had already finished my NIFT and was working. I was looking for a breakthrough, and they were visual narratives about their lives. And I thought they didn't go to design school. They didn't learn about forecast and colors, but look at the power of women, how they are narrating the stories. There were stories of land and people. There were stories about their ancestors, how human transformed into animal, and how the birds, basically, they call the birds, the pigeon, as the ancestor. So those narratives were textile. And that actually made me, believe, what a wonderful life it is, and what a amazing women who never went to a design school, but look at what they have created. Then was my bus Bihar Sujni craft artisan, and then after that I thought I'll come back to my state.
Yeah. So you say that, when you went there for the first time, as a student, you did the craft documentation, you saw so much of it, but then the visiting after, you were able to kind of see a lot more because you interacted with the Santal women, and you saw them in a
Yeah,
new light. Did you see a lot of change also in what you had seen then and what you were seeing now, where then external influences that had crept in, or we see a lot of the time even in Odisha, crafts are dying out because of external pressures, whether it is industrialization or whatever. Did you also see a change in the way they were approaching from your
yes,
student time?
yes, the Bastar Kotpad area where I visited 2009 for Nehru Trust and VNA, Victoria Albert Museum, the village has completely changed. It was very open air, and it was now, because of industrialization, it was completely muddy and red soil. And you see the last generation, and their children don't want to do it. So it was very sad. And they're also forgetting the narratives,
Yeah.
the stories. So that is basically this is the time when I thought, the textiles are languishing, and it is very important to document them.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, they will, the weavers, they will be the last people, the textile will be the last textile, and we will not get that, and everything becomes just a museum piece, and we will not know the stories of people.
Yeah. And that, I think, I've talked to a few researchers also in the past. The result of my work with beads, they always have this before and after story. They always say that we went in a certain period of time, we came back after 4 years or 5 years, and they always say the change and the dramatic shift that they see in the influences and the impact of that on their craft was it's terrifying. Is that a good word? Terrifying, because it was a rapid rate in which things were changing, that it makes you.
Yes, absolutely. Because you don't see them wearing the pata what they used to wear, the Kotpad women. And I remember asking one woman near the Koraput Kolab Dam, nobody is wearing those clips and those kind of sari. Maybe that is old style. I said, okay, so I am no one to question them, because change is inevitable, and it is their right to change the way we also change. But that's how their dress is. It's old fashioned.
Yeah, exactly. And then I want to ask this question because I've, in my previous conversations with artists, I don't know if it's the same thing for you in an NIFT, but I know previously with artists, a lot of the artists, when they went to art school, it was like they did not know what to expect, they did not know what was happening, and they had this moment when things clicked on, and they were really scared in the beginning, but then they grew into it when they went to art school. Because the reason I'm saying this, in education for us, in primary education, secondary education, we have very little input when it comes to creativity. Nobody really teaches us anything about creativity except the drawing teacher tells us that draw those little triangles and that's the mountain. That's the level of creativity. And then it's a huge jump when you go to like a professional school that teaches you about it. Did you experience anything of that sort? Like, was it like, oh my God, what have I walked into when you started off? Or were you like, yeah, this is what I expected?
No, it was completely unexpected, because the amount of pressure we had at NIFT to produce design, to produce in every different modules, you submit it and you work whole night, and then you have to again present that entire artworks in everything in right angle without fingerprints in a good shape. And we will be working whole night, and by the time we will submit, we'll be completely dead. So the pressure of submission.
Pressure was huge. Okay.
Yes, the pressure was huge. Many students who joined with us, they were from art background, fine arts, and many of them left because they couldn't take the pressure of a professional course. Of submitting, because you have to think of a client, you have to think of a colors theory, and you have to make it professionally viable, you have to justify, you have to fight with your own teachers during the jury. They will pull your leg, and that time we used to really feel bad. Oh my God, teachers are saying this thing, but when we came to jury, I think thank God they did that, because now we are very, very strong.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting point you made about the fine arts thing. This is where it jumps from art to design, isn't it? This is where design has that pressure that, good design must sell. Well, good art may or may not sell at that point of time. I mean, there's a different pressure. Somebody had told me this as a different differentiating point. That, clients should accept your design and things like that.
Yes, clients should accept, and it has to be viable for that market. It has to be product friendly. How do you create an innovation, and then for that particular season, market, anything. So if your designs are selling well, you are a great designer, and if you're not designing selling well, then you're not a great designer. So the quantities, the orders, number of orders which export house get from your collection, that makes you a good designer. That also basically, decides your increment.
While a good artist can produce maybe one good thing in the whole year, and that's it. They don't have to talk about that beyond it, because that one piece of art kind of defines what you are rather than the quantity. So there are those differences where it comes.
Yes, because it's a professional course, we have to do this, and the most important thing is the client should be very, very happy. And this was the thing I think that disturbed me in export houses, that am I a machine? Like how many designs have you made, Pankaja? The hem textile, the Germany fair was coming up. I said, I've made only 4. I have 2 hands. I can make 4. I can't make more than that because it takes time to think, execute, and create the entire collection for the international fair. And so this was again, I think, and this really takes your energy. Yes.
That's what. So was that a big reason, or what? I'm just intrigued by the fact that you went and did like something on anthropology as your master's, and what prompted that? It's such a shift. I mean, it's linked when I see the work later on. But it's quite interesting.
When you think from a very objective point of view, we do not relate, but it's a very important part of my life, because when I was working in export house and I wanted a break, I started learning pottery from a very big potter in Delhi. And then I got this chance, as I said, to Sanal, and I was looking for a breakthrough. And when I learned, when the Santal woman said that pigeon, that bird is our Purvaj, and he's not a bird, it's our Purvaj, that was a thing. And then the stories of Sujni artisan, how they are narrating the stories on textiles, I started volunteering. Then the coming back was to Dongria Kond in 2006. So I visited them. I did a workshop in 2006 with the Dongria Kond women, where I was asked to make design. And then I thought the textile is so beautiful and it's so strong. And I do not wanted to create a design which they didn't understand. I didn't want to introduce something which they cannot relate to it. Because previously, when I made us Sujni women in Bihar to make a table mat, they got really irritated because they couldn't make a rectangular piece. I said, what is this? What is it? Then I said, it has to be under the table. Now, Pankaja ji, how is it possible? Why would you keep expensive stuff on the table? So this was my thought. We shouldn't introduce anything or force something to artisans if they are not ready for it. So with the Dongria Kond artisan, what I did, I said, can we make a bag in your design? They said, yes, Didi, we can do it. I said, yes. So, which you can use it. So they said, yes. I said, you wear a belt. Can we make a belt in your textile? Now, yes, Didi. Then I said, can we make a pouch so that you have a pocket in your sari so you can store coins in it? Now, yes. So that was my point. Like, how do you create an enrollment? How do you create a conversation with the artisan? Rather than the way we were taught at design institution, it's a top-down situation where a designer, you go and tell them, no, that's not the way. So these are the phases which were changing me. And when I started learning the stories of each motif, that was also a point I realized there is a language beyond design which I need to understand. And I started writing stories of women traveling from one village to another. And that was my link and the point to start about research and anthropology. So on my own, I became like a self-taught anthropologist, I can say. I started writing the stories, and peace and arts work. Everybody loves a good drought. That had a great impact on me, because I was reading that book in Raigada in 2006, and I could see the entire life thing, real thing, whatever he has narrated in Raigada. So these made, like I had a lot of questions. And I thought if I go to London and study anthropology, I'll get answers for my question, but I did not. I had more questions.
That is fascinating. And I must tell the audience that in preparation for this interview, I had a chance to go and read almost all the blogs that Pankaja has written on her website, pankajasethi.com, I think. I think that's the one. I think there's a link to the blogs. Just Google it, just look up her name and look up the blogs. They are some of the most beautiful personal blogs that I have read. And I know I forwarded this to even our team to see that, we work also in the area of getting inspired by the Nyangiri Dongriya Kondo. Our team has visited there and they've had a chance to talk with them, interact with them. But nothing I have seen so far even compares to the kind of really personal element that is there in your blogs. It's such, highly recommend anybody, please go, do read those, because it really is a documentation of how you transition from being another fashion designer, another textile designer, to a researcher, really got into it. And I think that's really, really cool. And so why more questions in London? Why didn't you get your answers?
I didn't get my answers to my questions because I think it's very difficult to have an answer to any question, because everybody has a different perception. Like something like design projects, as I said, I saw so many problems in the design projects where everybody is making money. The Swadhar Home project where the NGO was running, he was also corrupt, and they were cutting the artisans, or cutting artisans' wages, and also a lot of fight also happened in many villages where I went. So I realized I'm also a designer. I'm part and parcel of this project, but these are the problems of the projects which happens at a grassroots level. So I can't say I got answers. I didn't get the answer to this question, but you can have a more broader view of understanding of society and culture.
Yes. So, but with London's, did you find that the way they were the studies in anthropology, were they aligning in terms of your perceptions and your field level, ground level view that you were seeing, and you were getting some understanding? Or did you feel there was, there's always this accusation in Western education system of exoticizing the East. Did you also see an element of that when you were studying?
Oh, yes. I think second day or third day when we had, a gathering, somebody said, "Oh, you are from Odisha, you hate Christian." I said, "Oh my God, no." That was like completely attack, So I said, no, it is just a political thing. And also because if you get into anthropology, you also realize the anthropology subject itself was designed to study the exotic.
Yeah.
So then you said, oh my God, I'm studying a subject which was made for completely colonial. So as was for the colonial studies or any other the anthropology subject. So yes, these are the questions. But yes, the subjects, what you read and the pressure you have to read all this thing, that's also a lot of theory, and I'm coming from a practical background.
Very practical,
Very practical. So you have to.
How did you marry both? How did you, like, when you were doing it? So you had to write a lot of stuff, read a lot of stuff, but how did you reconcile both?
Yes, something like Southeast Asia studies, I was very fascinated, but if you read something, it was difficult because I had not done field work in Southeast Asia. Later I did. Like Africa, there were so many tribes. I was also not able to relate so much. During the dissertation, my professor Richard Farden, he helped that you can study anthropology of development, how it is basically changing the projects at ground level, and then you can have your own case study in comparison with the theory. So that really helped.
Okay. Okay.
And some of the subjects like comparative society and culture, they also, that was about, I took the subjects like nature and culture, where I talk about Santhal women, their relation with nature, our Dongria women. So I could relate and fight with that in my arguments and writing. Yes.
So you would say it was a worthwhile course that you did take, even though you came back with more questions than answers.
Yes, it was worthwhile. Yes, I had a haircut. I had a haircut.
You had a haircut, yeah.
Yes.
So new look. So I think, before this interview, Pankaja had a discussion about all the beautiful work she has done. I've asked a lot of questions. Before I get into the questions about the fact that you've worked so much in tribal weaves, and we have an understanding now about why you did that to some extent, I would love to you to share some of the wonderful work that you've done in all the three areas. But even before, if you want to give a little description of why you got into these specific tribal weaves and these specific tribal artisan work, then that'd be great. Like I remember three. One was the bark cloth because I read it. The other one was the Kotpad Adivasi thing, and the third was the Kapadganga shawl, which you just talked about.
Yes, so Kotpad was, I say the Kotpad and Bastar area because that's the Bastar area we had visited from NIFT, and we had a very good documentation that time. That was 24 years ago. And when I got into the craft sector, Santhal Suchni, so I saw some of our NIFT students after us who graduated after us, they visited Odisha and they had documented. That was when we were graduating. Right. Then I saw, oh my God, I was just finishing an NIFT. I don't know that Dongria existed. Right. So when I got into craft sector, I said I must go the first villages to Dongriacon. And the NGO, I asked, can I go there? They said you cannot go there. And when somebody really stopped me that you can't go there, I said I'll definitely go there. So I took that challenge, that you are a woman, you can't go, and it's difficult, it's remote, and all those things. So I took that as a challenge. So that happened with the Dongria 2006. Bark cloth was Kerang. I knew that is a bark cloth that Kerang existed. That was very fascinating because something which has already died, you go, how do you document that? That was for Selfie by UNESCO. So whenever I asked, everybody had a souvenir to show. Like my aunt used to do it, my dadi used to do it, somebody used to do it. But nobody was weaving. I met 2 or 3 women, they were very, very old. And then at one point, what I did, I started drawing, because it's a small piece of cloth. And that this is the way it used to weave it, the backstrap and everything. My drawing helps me. Right. So then the villagers were not participating. They came. They said, yes, this was the horn of sambar that was used for weaving, and this was the weaving, and everybody started it because the language was a barrier. But some of them knew Odia, but we started drawings with the narration. And then one person said, yes, I have tools which my grandma, used to weave. And he pulled out and he showed the tools. So I went from around 10-15 villages. I joined the dots of the stories. And that was like joining the stories of bark cloths. Textile, which we lost, and we could have protected, we could have developed it. We didn't realize that we had such amazing piece of textile in Odisha. Bark cloth takes us to that period of nature, the time when human depended on nature for survival and existence. It is that important. Look at us, what we are doing. We are not protecting our rare textile, indigenous textiles.
So I think there are a few things that you would like us to see from that period of time, the work that you've done.
Yes, absolutely. I have a Kotpad video if Pragya can share, and then the Dongriacon also the video. Yes.
Can we play that, Sharanya? Okay. The first one we'll play is the one on Kotpad.
Yes, the natural dyeing.
So while they're rustling this up, let's keep talking about the one thing which you just pointed out. Okay, they're almost there. Yeah, there you go. This is the one. Brilliant, brilliant. Every time you see these videos, you just realize just that cloth you take for granted. There is so much effort that goes in when you're wearing a handcraft. It's just amazing. I mean, I saw this with Vishwanath Ratha when he did Potpad, the documentary. I think you interacted in that film also, right?
No, I couldn't
Okay.
give it time. Yes.
Okay, yeah, but it's just amazing watching that. Should we play the next one, the one with Dongria Kondo, because that's one of our favorites. Let's sing the next one.
Abane barajare, ababuda rajare, abanabji kandao, abapejor kanda. Ikudulinga hiyamu, ikudubama hiyamu. Nabji gada bolo mane, reguma bolo mane. Ngai bolo mane, baguru bolo mane. Sita bolo mane, delaku mane. Hello. Abamalla kambare, ababuda raja. Ayatati kayure, aramalla kamba. Aba bitri gare, aba bari gare, jana jana kanda, jana jana pili, aba hendi, magada elmo de maguma elmo, norohano ete kam norobano ete, gaiwane hane baguru wane hane, amirada teki de mirada barsu, mati de etone hindu rada hindu, aba endo munda aba dore munda. Abaloga barare arabisi munda abasirom dare abaratam dare rajangare dalanga bah inu rai kata kadu amba ini rai manje reba oro kono nago mula raga kere mindu ega mendo rapa mendo pa tula pa munda adi asotola parotola rajangapa mendo ne miru engla emmi anda gada indi kaya gada kai siba tiavanga Gapiranga, Rajangare, Kodramano, Manilvana, Ivaru, Sapangada, Maringada, Kodam Tali, Lengo Tali, Piyu Tali, Jange Tali, Mbatiba, Ibarati, Baravadi, Comondore, Mokidore, Likana, Kumekana, Rajakana, Makokana, Rajangaba, Hindu, Tada, Sini, Mani, Bati, Gai, Sini, Guru, Sini, Nge, Papo, Ane, Do, Ane, Agan, Hide, Aro, Emba, Sini, Kula, Kere, Bati, Kere, Angi, Neda, 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 Vai, Manji, Kale, Gora, Dabla, Gora, Anga, Anga, Angi, Nidu, Abba, Edo, Alo, Elo, Raja, Eri, Eri,
Beautiful, beautiful.
Hello.
All right. I think Pankaja, those are some of the most beautiful videos. I mean, so these were created. When were both of these videos created? Then 2020, 2016, around that time, earlier.
Now the Kutpad was 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the time we started taking short videos. And this was 2013. Before that, I had photographs of 2007. But the videos we started taking in 2009 and then 13. We realized it's important to document. So
mesmeric. I mean, the woman singing and the work is just just transports you into a different reality in which we exist. So tell me something. So I know you have your own design label, you've exhibited so many places, you participate in the fashion week. How do you take what you see here, these very strong traditions, these very really elemental things, and what is your design philosophy in transitioning this into something that contemporary audiences can consume?
I think as a designer, or if you think, see, when a dancer, when she starts a dance, she basically does Bhumi Pranam. She asks forgiveness to the goddess. As a designer, we should also have some principles that we shouldn't do anything against the principles of the society.
Right.
So that is the most important thing. So when I worked with Dongri, as I said, when there was a workshop, I understand that the symbols has such strong symbolism. It is the story of Niyamagiri, talks about the mountain hills. So I didn't want it to create any change over there, and I don't think it is required.
Right.
So I didn't touch it. Even with the Gadba also, I didn't want it because it talked about their stories of land, the tiger cloth, and many other things. So other villages say the ikat, where basically where the designers, where the weavers are ready to collaborate. So the collaboration has to be equal, because we learn from the weavers and artisans. It is their heritage which they have carried on for many generations. So probably when there is a collaboration where we both learn in the process, I think that's the most important part. And I, as a designer, I'm a very contemporary designer. I like modern designs. So research is something which I think is very necessary. You have to know your roots, what people have over the years, because without that we are nothing. And as a designer, I can't stop my creativity. I want to create, and there has to be space for creativity. So I draw my designs inspired from my travels, personal stories. I translate my work into drawings, and then different textile forms. One is ikat, Tassa textiles, and the quilts of Odisha, and many other techniques. Yes.
Right. So you said one of the essential things of the work that you do, where you transition from these very traditional practices, very sacred practices, into something that's contemporary, is principles that you set, which are in terms of collaboration. How often do these principles come under stress from commercial considerations? Do you find that when you're doing your day-to-day work or developing these things? How often do you face that, and how do you tackle it?
This is when the weavers are not ready to do something, so then we leave it. Suppose there is something, but if they're all right with it, then it is all right. But we try to make an understanding between the designer and a weaver, a collaboration, a conversation. So I can say it's a dialogue, it's not a monologue. So we try to build that narrative. So I made a fish design, and I told my weaver, this fish are moving. Can we make ikat in such a way that fish is moving? So yes, they said yes, we are excited and we want to do that. So some of the design workshop which I can share in my PDF, where I have done workshop with weavers, and I've given them in some drawings and some material as inspiration. So I've asked them, can we draw, can we paint, can you also create colorways and make your designs? I remember in a village like Gopalpur, when I went for the first time, they said, we just want orders and we want a factory and we want to weave. I said, why is that? Our weavers are known for such creativity. Why should we become more mass produced? And why can't we be more creative? So one of my effort in 2 or 3 workshops was also to bring in their conversation, bring in the narrative. I asked, can you think about a color? Can you talk about color? How do you relate with the color? I remember in a workshop, expression workshop, 2007, it was supported by UNIDO. The weaver talked about red, that red is important. Ame ma roctoru baharichu, au mu to matric fail, mu kichi janini, sehi moro jibana. Like, I'm born from my mother's womb, and red, she is my life and she's everything. I said, you are not matric, you are absolutely PhD pass. because such a strong, important point of view that they are saying. That's how they relate to red color. So these are small things I have learned, that you have to bring in their participation also.
Which I find is really interesting, because you've talked about both sides. There's always a demand side pressure of, creating contemporary designs, and you take them to, artisans, and you work with them, and they're like, no, we can't do this. And then, either you convince them or you leave it at some point. Okay, let's move to something else. That is your design principle. But the flip side was something which I also found interesting, when you said the weavers wanted to change themselves into something which they thought progressive, which I guess is a success of how we are marketing ourselves in the industrialized world, I suppose. So there is more pressures.
Yes, because I remember getting an order from Fab India, and they were working, and they said, okay, there's so much of pressure, we can't take it. So this is where the thing is. They also need to enjoy life, enjoy their tradition. We can't, bind them just because orders are there and you have to do it.
So have you ever sacrificed any kind of commercial obligations because of these principles, and you felt that, it was worth it?
I think there was some tantric work, a text which somebody wanted me to do some research lab, where they wanted that on the entire body. Then the artisan said, these are tantras and we would not like to paint it. So I can convey that message. They didn't do it.
Fair enough. So the other question, so we understand a bit of your design philosophy and the principles that you work with and the work you create. And I think one of the things I saw even in the fashion week, your display was very interesting, because you did not let the models walk on the ramp, but had them stand stationary, and people came and got to see the work that's there. How do we preserve these traditions? So you work with them so intensely. What does conservation mean for you? There's so many traditions that are disappearing, like the Kerang work you just described, that we just missed the bus on that. And every time I talk to people also, there's a lot of pressure in Niyamgiri. Their traditions are changing. Change is inevitable. What is your viewpoint on this? Because you work so closely on it, both on theory and practical side.
See, as you said, change is inevitable. Change will happen. We have also changed, and they have also changed, and they will change. The education system will also change. The houses have changed. The cultural architecture has changed. But if we realize that these traditions are very, very important, some tradition will die, and some tradition also die for good. Suppose child marriage and many other things. So if we realize something which is very, very important, so if we have a realization, I think that's important as a community. Because in Gadaba area, when I was documenting, and that man got really concerned, and because they were very confused, and many of them were speaking many other languages, and they said, our bhasa sarigala, setipai kerang sarigala. And that's a very important point, because that's a law of nature. When something changes, say the nature or something, the other species dependent on it also die. The culture, suppose the kerang, which was dependent on the forest, that also has died. Yes. So it's the realization. Yes.
These are strong interlinkages. And, every time we see the video that you just shared, just reading the subtext, the subtitles are almost a subtext, because they tell you so much about why these strands break, right? So, as you say, change is inevitable, but there are certain things that really bind these traditions together, and those are the ones that require support. Those are the ones that would be the most meaningful support that we can provide, I suppose, in this thing, right?
Yes, we can bring in that in education. We can do something with the tribal school, that your textile which you did was very, very important. Can one of the person, a senior person, teach the young girls how to weave it? So small intervention are possible. It's not that it's not possible. It is still possible.
It is where and how, the young education.
It's never too late. Yes. Even if it's not school, you can do a small workshop, and you can always make an effort.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's like 1 hour has flown past, and we can just keep talking for another 2 hours. I don't think I've even gone through half the questions, but it's been such a fascinating thing. Before I turn over the questions that to the audience, and I have some questions that I've received online. I want to ask you one more question. Is that when we started working, this is something we worked together in the Bhubaneswar Art Trail. We did a beautiful piece of textile art, which is still preserved in the Kalinga Stadium, called Reflections of Time and Nature. And I know you like doing more of these. I think the flaming womb that you did in Nairobi was another piece like that.
Yes.
So the flaming womb, and all these words I'm saying, guys, just look it up on the net. There's beautiful stuff, because we can just keep on going. You've had some. We've had this discussion that textile art is something you would want to do a lot more, but the ecosystem for that is not something. One, you don't get time, and the ecosystem is maybe not as evolved. What are your thoughts on this particular area? Because even on your website, there's just the only one piece I saw when I went to your website, the one that you did for Bhubaneswar Art Trail.
Yes, I have some images and work which I did during the student time, and I didn't realize when the time passed, and it was so what I do is I apply for these fellowships and grants.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's a pressure of deadline.
Yeah.
So when I got the Ministry of Culture fellowship, immediately I got the bat. The bat happened. So I was super happy. And the following year I got the Nairobi. So there is always a deadline. Otherwise you keep pushing, and okay, ho jayega, like that. So I enjoy textile art. And one of the point I want to, what I have realized is while studying, there are many parts of textile process. As a textile artist, I see is very fascinating. And also because I'm so much romanticized with the entire process, the thread, the loom, the way they throw. So many of them can be expanded into textile artwork. I am not getting the opportunity, to be very honest. Yes,
and
I would have to get the opportunity and work. Yes.
And the fellowships that you've done and others, do you see a lot more other artists who are working in this area in India and elsewhere, especially in India, let's say?
I didn't understand your question.
Have you gotten in touch with other artists who are also working in this area? Have you had a chance to interact with them as part of the fellowships and the residencies that you've been doing?
Some of them I'm in touch. Those some of the artists who are full time into it, for them it is fine, because I do a little bit of research work and my sustainable design studio I want to do, but I am not able to connect with it. But I am in touch with some of them who are practicing it full time.
Yeah, it's because I think it's such a vivid area where people can work on.
Yeah, if somebody asks me in Bhubaneswar, I will be very happy to go.
Yeah, trust me. Yes. Pankaja, we can keep talking for hours, but I think I'm getting questions now. I think there is. Let's just start with Swaraj. I think you have a question for Pankaja. He's a designer himself. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello, hi. I'm Surak Kant. I'm a fashion designer and a textile enthusiast and a researcher working closely and at a root level with Kalamkari. And hello, Pankaja. It was great listening to you and your entire story and journey. The way you have tried to preserve the heritage and just from being something that has been treasured from vocals to actual documentation.
Yes.
And my question is, when you talk about your modern and contemporary designs today in Ikats, is it just limited to the designs that are being produced, or also you look at and pay attention to the time that we are living in and the change with the machineries and form that can actually bring a better lifestyle for the weavers who are involved in it? For an example, if you see the Banarasis and Kanjivarams where I'm working at the moment, the time has gone ahead and so much of diverse. It has been very diversified. And when we look back to Odisha, we are still at the pitlooms and still struggling with the limited resources that we are having around. So what's your take on it?
A lot of changes in machinery has happened when they tie the ikat thread, the framework, the warping process from manual to drumming, and many other things, because I work with a lot of master weavers, and I know they have done wonderful creation, and they are doing small changes. But hand is the most beautiful thing, and from our hand we create the most beautiful things. So hand cannot be machine and machine cannot be hands. That's my take. And I have also met weavers in Raigada who weave the kapda on the cloth. He's still winding the thread in the hand. He's not even using a charkha. So yes, there is a technical help. He needs it, but he is the last weaver who is weaving it. So in some places it is required. Some places changes are happening. Some places maybe they are all right with it. Like in the Kotpad, they are still doing pitloom, but there are many villages close by Kotpad where they are doing frame loom also. In Western Odisha, they are doing pitloom. Pitloom is one of the most indigenous and the oldest form of loom after the backstrap and loin loom. But you know, the pitloom gives a very good depth, thickness, and texture to the textile in comparison to other tools. So there are pros and cons of everything.
True, and accepted. And also, when I was working closely for Santati, we developed around 3,000 colors of natural dyes, and we created the real Ravi Verma portraits.
Yes.
And it was a very tedious job, and that is where I see contemporary in weaving that we have worked on and we have done, and it is for a change. So when we talk about Odisha, so what is your complete take on your expression of contemporary weaving?
See, contemporary, or the thing is, it is talking about tradition in the past and also the present. We the ikat. So say, just for example, I say talk about ikat. So if you go back to 12th century, it was just simple knots. It was completely weavers' involvement and patronage of people, that from the simple knots we have come up with the Gita Govinda, we have come with the text, and we are there are examples of textiles. If you go to Kalabhumi yogic postures, to Khandwa Pato, and so many mathematic equation which Vidyabalan was wearing. So much changes are. So weavers are themselves creating so much design. And where is modernity, contemporary, modern? Forget this word. They are just doing it, and it is just not for the money. It is absolutely for the passion. They want to show the excellence in the crafts and for the love of textiles. Like in love, you don't see loss and profit. No, similarly in textile, no profit and gain. It's just you do it for the sake of it.
And today, when I was working closely also with the Khadi board, what they expressed was we are actually going down when it comes to the repay for the weavers. So, how do you see that change coming in, today's time? What can be really done for the weavers where they can actually be a part of some upliftment program where they have an understanding of the market that is demanding for, and how do you feel this can be curated for with the position that you have at the moment and the journey that you have actually taken to discover Odisha and its livelihoods?
I think we just.
Who are a part of weaving?
Yeah, I think Pankaja's connection's a little wonky at the moment. But Suraj, that's your last question. You've asked
Yes.
Individual. So it's a very broad question. Weavers, the Tataras project has started in Odisha some years back, and the weavers are doing wonderful work with their.
I think we just lost her again. I think, Pankaja, I think we're having some problems with your connection. Just cutting off a bit. I think, Suraj, you're asking difficult questions. That's what's happening here right now.
No, because that is the reality that we are actually by living in at the moment.
Yeah, no. I'm just kidding. I think let's see. Let me just text her.
Surya, I'm saying I hope I answered your question.
Pankaja, we lost you for the entire 3 minutes. So we didn't hear any of your answers.
Yes.
Okay. So I talked about weavers. I don't know where did I So I talked about weavers who are independent, weavers who are part of self-help group, and weavers who are part of the society, because you talked about Shuta Santati and the condition of weavers. Surya, so here
Yes.
weavers who are independent, they are 70%. In India, the handloom census are much better compared to weavers who are under society. And weavers who also come together in SSG, they are also in because they are able to make a decision. Weavers who are under society, somewhere there is a problem because they are controlled by other people. So there is so independent SSG, they are much better. So these are different things, but I'm saying participation of everyone is required to make the weaver's life much better. So giving them dignified living. Like, we will not bargain if we go to a corporate store, if you go to Zudio or any other place, or Benetton if you go. But when you meet an artisan, you will bargain for 10 rupees also. Is that fair? That's not fair, no? Because they do everything by hand. And a weaver weaves, he weaves for the entire family because his wife is doing, his children are helping. So that 10,000 rupees or 1,200 or 12,000 rupees, that supports the entire family. So it is completely everybody's responsibility to support the handloom. Just not women who are wearing sari, also men. So it has to be also, the gender thing also has to come in. In every talk I said, men have to also start wearing handloom, kurtas or shirt or dhoti or gamcha, anything like that. The corporate world has changed so much. So we have to, there are so many questions we have to think and we have to converse, we have to talk about it.
Thank you for really taking an effort and explaining the entire question. I'm really happy that you could do so, and thank you for your time. And thank you, Sandeep Bhai, for creating and curating such talks, because this is bringing up so much light to the reality that we are living in at the moment in the state.
I'm glad you were able to ask the question, Swaraj. Thanks. Anybody else? Questions? I saw a few more hands. Okay. Raj, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have this people.
We can't hear you, Raj. Louder. No, not really. So while he's sorting his audio out, let me see if I can ask you another question. Can you please ask this question? How can one determine if the textile is hand woven or machine made? This is something I always struggle with. This is a question I received.
Okay, you usually look at the selvage and sometimes the read and pick. Read and pick, these are technical things. Read and pick means threads which are in vertical and horizontal. Sometimes when something which is power loom woven, the thread per square inch in the left direction is higher compared to handloom. So you have to involve yourself just by looking textile, and sometimes also the irregularity also. And many ikkas, if you see in the vertical direction, most of the ikkas, I cannot generalize again, are also power loom or machine made. And another important is the cost factor. When you get certain crafted things at a very cheaper price, then you question it. Is the weaver getting a good price? Is the material fair? Is the ethics of the trade? So you can question that. Is it machine made? These are some questions you have to involve yourself in textile, and then I think you can be able to distinguish between right and wrong, powerloom and handloom, like that.
Brilliant. So this question from Manisha Nilani from Pune. So this was our first question. The other question was, what would you recommend are the ways to maintain hand-woven textiles? Are there any tips, tricks?
Yes, use mild detergent. You hand wash if you have time, but you can always use mild detergent or use gentle in washing machine, that gentle care. But always use gentle. Like I am not promoting sunlight, but sunlight will give you detergent life for all the handloom cloth. And handloom cloth survives.
Yeah.
All the Odiyas and many people who wear Odisha textile is glass. It doesn't die. So even if you throw it, you can convert it to anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Rajesh. So Manisha, those are your two questions. Rajesh, back to you. Very mildly. I don't know. You're like speaking through a tunnel right now.
So maybe you can type the question.
Yeah, type the question. Did we have any other questions while Rajesh was typing? Okay, so we have just one question there. So while Rajesh is typing this, I know Rajesh worked with you on this particular thing, Pankaja, your Kala or Katha Trust. Can you tell us a little bit about this? Because I think it's a very interesting work. Besides you, I think Shivanand's collective, Craft Collective, it also does something similar, but it's a little more commercial. But yours has some very interesting sustainability ideas also on artisans in Kala and Katha.
Yes, because when I was coming from Delhi to Odisha, I was very fascinated about the indigenous textile. And that's why Kala or Katha means art and narrative for stories. So my research I bring in under Kala or Katha, where I help a lot of home-based women workers, artisans, under training, workshop and all. So that was the limited resources we had done many projects in and around Odisha and all that. So whether it's video documentation, visual documentation and all. So I take the help of Pankaja Sethi photographer. She happens to get access to document my many other things. And why I take her? Because so many hours when you don't get food, only sister can starve with you.
So all the work of Kala and Katha, these are like outputs in terms of research papers, videos. They're all there on the website that people can go and see.
No, I have a very small team and I'm the team, so not everything is updated.
But some of it is there. Yeah, some of it.
Like
I saw them. Yeah.
Some are updated, some are not updated. Like if you Google, you'll find something on Pankaja UNESCO. You'll find on the Tata website. You will find my work on the Selvage magazine, the VNA blog as an author, and some other journals which is coming up. So that I will post on Map Academy. Map Academy, I gave a talk for that. Devi Foundation, I gave a talk on ikat, design and weavers collaboration. Like that, there are different platforms that it is available.
We should collaborate on this to get all the documentation in one place, because you've done so much work. It'd be a shame if we can't see all of that in one place. Because it's just a lot of good stuff that you got out there.
And regarding Kala or Katha, you were saying, so 2019 when Cyclone Fani happened, Rajesh was also part of it and his friend.
That's his question. That's his questions. Yeah.
Yes. So because that was the first time I actually raised some funds where we could work with artisans. The question was how to do, because everybody was giving ration. I said, no, we need to do something
more substantial.
Strong.
Yeah.
Yes. Very strong. So we thought, so the CYLC NGO, they supported our artisans. So I said the one was the Sakhi Gopal village where there was a lot of coconut waste. So we thought we can use the coconut waste to create products. So one product was Mugura, which was used as a fish trap, which I talked about which I saw in my village. I had seen, so like if we could develop that and create a lampshade. The coir, we made posters and many other products. In Pattachitra, we also created products. So like that was a livelihood thing, but the objective was somebody who have lost hope, how to create a hope, how to stand with the pillar. And during COVID, when our artisans suffered,
this was when the first time cyclone happened. I was at NIFT, I was studying, and I didn't know what to do. And the second time happened, I had an accident, and the cyclone funny happened. When COVID happened, I said I have to do something. So I created a campaign. Can we support some weavers who have lost the livelihood? What people don't understand is weavers and artisans are equivalent to daily wages. If they weave, they are able to earn. If they are not able to weave, how do they earn? So I created the campaign, each one support one weaver for a month. And we took the photo. So our weavers shared their videos and everything from the villages, thanks to smartphone. And then we shared that and we asked our friends, share on the stories. If you can't donate, it's all right, share with the friends. So that was my thing, and we shared, and I managed to raise around 10 lakhs, and we supported 2,000 weavers and artisans in the first COVID and the second COVID also, and that's why Indian Express was very happy they covered me in the Devi magazine.
That is so cool. That is really
without any background in funding. I did that.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. That is like really. We had so many seminars and web online meetings about how to support. You actually went there and did it. So there is a lot to say about that.
Also workshop. We trained women only. Students were khali, so I told them, can you teach our artisan on upcycling, on shibori? So many things we did online, and we also made a dyeing unit for our weavers in Jagat Singhpur during the COVID thing. So we did many good things, but it just happened like all the energy came, I think, in COVID because you're just sitting in front of this computer.
That's true. That is true. Brilliant. I think the smartphone thing leads to, I think, another question for you. What role do you think digital platforms play in promoting indigenous crafts today? Your thoughts on
it? It plays a very significant role. COVID is the first example because we could communicate to each other through the digital. And when WhatsApp happened, I learned WhatsApp very late, 2014. And then I taught my weavers, can you do it? And it was such a great thing because they can just take a photo, they can take a video, you don't need much education. And it really, really helps. It really helps. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that is WhatsApp. Have you seen anything else since then that has helped you in, well, say, communicating with your weavers? Do you show them prototypes or designs in a more interesting way now that you have more digital tools at your disposal of any sort?
I think WhatsApp is the most important thing because it requires very less education. The audio is there, video is there, the photo is there.
Yeah.
So
YouTube? Because
YouTube, yes, some weavers are doing YouTube, but I still just to communicate with one weaver or a community, you can have a video call and do that.
Yeah, the reason I said YouTube is I was talking to a craft community people and they were like, okay, I've seen this design, and he switched on the YouTube and he's like, this is what I want to copy. This is what I want to do. So as an information dissemination, I thought it was self-help videos.
I think the Kodpat film, a lot of Kodpat weavers, they have seen Kabir Ke Julahe.
Yeah.
So we have seen the videos you have done. I like that. So I can send the link and the entire village can see whenever they have time. Yes, and I saw last year when I visited Dongria Kond village, the internet connection wasn't great, but the girls, they were watching films and cinema on YouTube. Yes, YouTube is in a way. I don't know so much, but artisans are using. Yes,
artisans are using. Yeah, brilliant. We planned to end at 7:00, but we went on till 7:17. That's a testimony to how exciting your work is and how brilliant everything you had to share. I still have so many questions, but I'm sure I'll talk about it offline. Thank you so much, Pankaja, for being here today and sharing your things. It was really wonderful.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Beans team, and thank to all the audience, and thanks to all the artisans who have made me this. And they got me here.
Brilliant. And to everybody who's missed this, we will be uploading this video with subtitles for people to see on our YouTube channel. So you should be able to see it within a week once our team is able to get it together. Thank you again, Pankaja, and thank you everyone, and look forward to seeing you next month with another edition of ADC. Thanks everyone. Thank you.